1, 2. Here we go. It's my time to rise.
Thanks for tuning in to the hottest talk radio show around, providing an open discussion for some of the most important social issues and trending topics today. From personal growth or spirituality to sex and relationships, no subject is ever taboo. So prepare to be empowered, enlightened, and entertained during another episode of the award-winning Let's Face It with Will Strayhorn and Friends. Real people, real topics, real talk.
Gotta do it, and won't let nothing hold me down. Gotta do it, because I may not get another chance. I believe it.
Hey, what's up? Thank you for calling. Let's Face It with Will Strayhorn and Friends. It is Wednesday, July the 5th, 2017. I am so glad to be here on the campus, coming to you live from WODU studios on the campus of Old Dominion University. Have my girls in the studio. We have Miss Paula B, and we have my girl Rhonda Arrington. Hey, Rhonda.
What it be like,
Good.
homestead?
Paula is she's taking care of something right now, so we're gonna come back to her. But how's your week going, boo?
It's going real good, you know. One of the best things about my week is that I don't have a work week, so I can just kind of chill and outside of planned vacations or conferences, I'm just chilling. So I'm enjoying my summer.
Oh, okay. I heard you said that you're keeping your kids kind of busy, right?
Yes. Well, the little one, I'm not keeping her too busy because I can't make up my mind or convince myself that it makes sense to pay for her to be in camp when I'm not working.
Okay.
But the older one, she's been in camps and track, so she's been pretty busy. Okay.
All right. What about you, Paula B? What's going on with you? How's your summer going?
Oh my!
You stay busy anyway. So how's everything going?
Everything's going well. I'm having a blast. I took a couple of things off my bucket list this weekend.
Like what?
Like I got I got a tattoo of Mickey Mouse. You looking for it, Rhonda? Oh, of Mickey Mouse holding one of my favorite things, an apple. On Tuesday, I went to the shooting range. I had a blast.
You saw my meme I put up there. I was
laughing.
I said, "Oh Lord."
That was amazing. It's really loud.
Have you ever shot a gun before?
I never.
It was your first time?
That was my first time.
Now, is it something you can shoot with? I've never shot a gun. That's one of my biggest fears. So can you do it with one hand or you have to hold?
You have to hold it. You have to hold it because
heavy.
It's got kick to it. Yeah, it's the pushback.
Yeah.
You know, I was watching my hair bounce as I did it. But then after a while, you know what I mean? I got the hang of it.
Yeah.
And then
once, I could shoot a rifle better than I could the handgun.
And me as well. It was an AR something, I think he said. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm definitely going back. Tiffany and Company has this amazing, sexiest looking gun ever. So
what does it look like?
It's got the Tiffany blue
color.
Are you
gonna get a gun?
Really?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna get my
permit.
License, my permit. Yeah.
I went to a gun show and they had these guns, and they were called. I don't know if they were called this or not. I don't know if I saw something on TV about the judge and the jury. They're like these revolvers. So I decided that I was going to get me 2 revolvers, 2 Smith & Wessons, the old school guns. And I was going to name one judge and the other one the jury and walk around like I was back in the Westerns. Meet the judge and the jury.
You are so funny.
Bam.
It was exciting. I was just my niece. I went with my niece and nephew, and they said that they didn't think I was gonna do it, and they thought I was gonna be all scared and because of the noise, because I had on the ears and the eyes, and I just went in there and did my thing. It was noisy though.
So after you had the things on your ears, right?
Yeah, I had the ears on. Yep.
So after you did that, after you shot, did you feel empowered at all?
I did. I felt different. I was like, I can really do this.
Because I saw the little thing that you shot. You were shooting some little dangerous areas.
Yes.
Did you mean to shoot down there?
No, I was one target. And when it came back, I didn't have any holes in it. I'm like, where?
Did you shoot with your eyes closed?
No, my eyes are open.
Is it hard to aim?
It's hard to aim.
Because you have to look through that little scope.
Yep, and then you got to find
Scope
the red
on what,
dot
the gun?
on the gun.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like, and sometimes it's just a little space on the top of it.
Right.
And you have to like focus in, and you think you're seeing
Oh, I
something.
thought you were supposed to do it over like the tip. Like that's probably an old-fashioned gun. The little tip on the gun.
Well, they do have a little
Yeah.
tip on the gun.
Yeah,
They
on the
still
gun.
do that, but they still have that, like she said, that little window.
Really?
And they have that red light, so you have
Oh,
to.
man, we gotta
push
go.
You got to push the point the light where you want to shoot.
Right.
So I did a lot of headshots.
I'm gonna put that on the list.
Yes, put that on the list.
You know, we started the TV show in September, and I'm looking for on location things we can
Right.
do. And I think seeing me in a gun range, and that's like my second fear next to snakes. I think that would be a hoot.
Oh, it would be
Yeah,
a
that
hoot.
would. You scared of snakes? Now I've held a boa constrictor before.
Really?
Yes.
I don't know why.
Do they bite though?
No, because he was already.
They sucked it.
Well, he had already eaten. So because he had already
You
eaten,
ain't never ate nothing after you ate before?
I'm not a snake. I don't.
I
So, but
seen
it
one
was
of them
weird.
things eat a
they're
crocodile
heavy.
Before.
Yeah.
A
Or
boa
an
constrictor?
alligator. Which one? Where was a big snake? I don't know which one it was. Which one is smaller, the crocodile or the alligator?
I don't know. They look
I
rather.
think
Both
the
of them look rather
crocodile
large to
is
me.
Larger.
Okay, well, it was an alligator. Does it really negate the fact that neither one of those
Yeah,
are small animals?
Right. Exactly.
But this snake
What-
ate it, and it took on its shape. The shape of the alligator, you can see it going in.
How do you break
That's
that down?
disgusting. It must
Ugh.
take him months to break that down.
Right. Oh.
That's gross.
So you
This
could
is
have
greedy.
held him after that. With
Greedy.
that big
Yeah.
alligator.
Yes.
Jeez. Okay, so what's been going on in the news? So first of all, we have two guests coming on the show today. Actually, because we are 3 weeks left until the end of the summer series.
I can't believe it.
And
Summer's
then
almost over. Yay.
coming in September, the fall, mid-September, we'll have the radio show and also the video TV show coming out. So
It's gonna be great.
I'm excited about that.
yeah,
Me too.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
gonna be good. I'll have some stuff to share with you. Me and Nikki been working on it this week. It's gonna be fun. A lot of fun.
A lot of laughing.
a lot of laughing.
A little bit of
Good,
fashion.
good.
That's what I
Yeah.
like. 'Cause
Uh-huh.
we could
Yeah,
just
we're gonna
be-
have fashion segments.
Yeah.
We're gonna work with Patricia.
Yeah.
A lot of things. I don't want to give too much out yet, so I can
Yeah.
reveal it all at one time. But the website's up. You can go to livewithwill.com. Also on Facebook, our Facebook page is up. Not too much information on it, but those things are already up.
Yeah, you gotta
wanna
keep
check
it
out.
a secret so you can.
Yeah.
Be
Reveal.
surprised and reveal,
Yes,
yeah.
it's going to be nice. But tonight we have Angel Davis. She's coming on to talk about dealing with life after loss. And then we have Kim Sayers Giles, who's going to come on to talk to us about living a life without fear.
Oh, okay.
Living a full life.
That
And I
sounds
know
like a
that's
rap
big on your
song.
list right now. What?
Right.
Which one?
Living. It was a Biggie lyric. Living life without fear. Putting 2 carrots in my baby girl's ear. Something like that.
yeah.
Only Rhonda would do something like that. Go.
Hey,
Hey. Okay. You gotta bring it in.
Okay.
Okay.
So let's see. It's a couple things I want to talk to you about
Me too.
before we have our first call in, but let's get to this right here. So Gabrielle Union, you guys knew that. I didn't know that Dwayne Wade had cheated on her.
You know what the break baby? You talking about beyond the break baby? Baby, he's cheated on her.
No.
What break baby?
The
What are you talking about, the break baby?
Why do you call it a break baby?
Because he had a baby while they went.
Well, on
Oh
break.
yeah, there was on
Yeah,
break.
yeah, there was
on
exactly.
break.
So
Yeah.
this is old.
Yeah.
Because I saw, what I saw, I'm in this group on Facebook and we have juicy conversations. But they were talking about, what was the title? It was 2 women that are happily married because they didn't let a little cheating ruin the relationship. And they're talking about Gabrielle and Dwayne Wade and also Vanessa and Kobe Bryant. So basically they were saying, can you forgive your spouse's infidelity to maintain your marriage or relationship? Or do you think these 2 cases was because of fame and wealth?
Well, I think that those 2 cases, you have to realize that that you can't compare those to everyday life.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, with Vanessa's situation, if any of us, I'll just speak for me. If I was Vanessa Bryant and my husband was doing all that he was doing, I need to make sure my money is in the right place before I leave. It wasn't no easy, like, it ain't that serious, dude.
Yeah.
That, it was more going into it than that. And they forget about that. And then Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade, they were two things. I could care less about them being on a break, but they weren't married.
Right.
So she decided to continue on in a relationship with him and get married to him after. He didn't cheat on her when she was his wife. So I don't think we can really talk about them because they are celebrities and they have maybe different things at stake, whatever. But I think, because I know a friend of mine personally, it's funny because I want to talk about this too. I was going to talk about break babies. A friend of mine is going through a similar situation where she was with someone and had a tumultuous time, and they kind of split a little bit. And during the split, he cheated. We'll just say he cheated, and now the consequences or the fruit of his cheating is now jeopardizing their relationship, and so now they're in a troubled place. But they're not married. They were dating, but they were engaged. But I think as a married woman, so I said that part to say that I think it's happening more rapid than we want to admit it, about people having to deal with the repercussions of a cheating relationship. But I think, and I was just telling my my husband about this, I think if you're unmarried, and Paula, you can tell me if you feel about this too. If you're unmarried and you and we're together and you cheat on me, then we're gonna have some stuff we're gonna go through to build on trust. But if we're unmarried and you cheat on me and there's a baby involved, I might not be as willing to go forward with you as your girlfriend. If we are married and you cheat on me, I think we need to go to the root to see what's really going on here.
What happened?
Do you have thottish behavior and you just like to be like Eric Benet? If I could use a Jay-Z.
You and Jay-Z.
If I could be like Jay-Z. Yeah. Or is there something going on where, I'm only inviting you into that intimate place once a month, and you have expressed to me that you want more, rightfully so, and I'm not excusing the fact that you cheat, but is there something that I need to take responsibility for, and we can work through this?
Okay.
That's one thing. If you do that and then you have a child, now we got to consider a whole lot of things because our family dynamic is changing. So I don't even know if I'm answering the question. I think that it's a gray area. I don't think that you can say that people are saying, what's the big deal? Cheating, we'll get over it and we'll move on. I think there's so much stuff that...
So many dynamics to it.
Right.
What do you say?
Go ahead.
No, go ahead, because I was going to say I had some more to add to that.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, but the thing of it is, it's... there's many marriages that there's been infidelity, and they have moved forward. I have a friend that went through it, and it was tough.
Right.
But what I found was that she said that it made their relationship a lot closer. And I've heard the same thing. But I've heard this multiple times. And I think what happens is when you have that deep, deep love for somebody, and you look at them, it's not always the wife that made you go out. I'm just saying the wife. I'm not the wife that made you go out to cheat because she's not doing. That's something that you wanted to do.
Right.
And that's what the decision that you made at that time. You may have been going through a midlife crisis, and I find that a lot of times that it is that. You know what I mean? You're having a midlife crisis, and you're trying to find your individuality, and you just at this place at that time. So if your spouse, you sit down and break it down to them, I'm just at this place right now. It doesn't even have anything to do with you. It has to do with me trying to find myself and trying to find my own individuality. Yes, you can move on because and that's what they have counseling for, to help you get through that, to get to the root of the problem. It's always not the other person. 9 times out of 10, and I've read this, it's really you.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely, I co-sign on that. I think it would be harder with a child involved. It would be harder to move on. That doesn't mean it's impossible. But I've seen so many people where their relationship has became richer. Obviously these were two people who decided that they wanted to fight and push past this thing.
Right.
I went to a class once, and someone said that when things like that happen, sometimes there are hoops that you have to jump through to get past this, but you shouldn't put fire on those hoops.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You know,
You have to be able to communicate, and if you feel as though that your own self, you're drowning, because I watched Oprah's show, and I'll never forget this. I'm not responsible for Will's happiness. My husband is not responsible for making me happy. I'm responsible for my own happiness.
Right.
And I have to find that. Because when you're happy, then everything else is in your life is going to be happy.
Right.
But the thing of it is that when you start growing, not when you're together, but you grow individually.
Right.
So you may be up here, but I'm right here. But if I really love you, I'm going to wait for you to get where it is that you need to be.
Right.
Because when it was your turn, you understand what I'm saying? You know, I waited. I waited for you to go through all of that.
Yeah.
Well, let's go back to when there's a baby involved. Now, do you think, hypothetically, would you be that woman who would be pressuring him not to be involved in that baby's life? Because I have relatives who, you know, he has to sneak around to even be involved.
No, and that's when you know that you can no longer be a part of his life.
Okay.
Because if I learned a new word a few months ago from Iyanla Vanzant, gutter snipe.
Yo, yeah.
Yeah. And now you're being a gutter snipe.
Yeah.
You know, because that child does not deserve to not have because you were betrayed. That child's relationship and your relationship are two separate things. You can demand that they don't spend time with the mother of the child, but not the child, you know. For me, I'm not going to ever say anything with absolute. But if in a marriage and my husband cheated on me and the result of that was another baby, we would need some time apart for me to really see if I could deal with the embarrassment, if I could deal with the jealousy. Because that's what it is. I'll be jealous of the time you're spending with that child is taken and the time that the children that we have. And even though I have siblings who were a result of those same situations, but I know their story. I know how they felt, you know, knowing that daddy was over there with his family and they only got to see him, you know, with the leftovers, you know.
Right.
Right. I'm in that situation now. Remember I told you last time I told you guys that my sister Tiffany. So she was asking me like a whole lot of questions like, well, what was he like? You know, and I did kind of feel bad because she didn't have an opportunity to share and take part in our life. So the thing of it is that I feel as though it's not the kid's fault at all. He or she didn't have anything to do with it. So that's when you step outside of yourself and think outside the box and like, this kid didn't have anything to do with it. He should know his brothers and sisters.
Right.
So if I know that I had an affair with your husband and I ended up getting pregnant, but there's no love lost. We're not together anymore. So at some time when you get over your hurt, you understand, when you get over your pain, we should all sit down and talk about it, because it's not just, and we forget, we always think it's just the adults. We forget about the kid over here. They always forget about the kid because we're too absorbed in how we're feeling. So we need to come together.
So the kids, I mean, and then I'm sure we'll move on to another topic. I was reading, and it's an old story, like 1987 story. Jermaine Jackson having a baby with his younger brother with Randy Jackson had a girlfriend. They had a baby together. Jermaine decided he liked her too. Got her pregnant and married her. The children are cousins and brother and sister.
Wow. No, I never knew that story.
And not only did that, when he was married to Hazel, he had another relationship with this other woman, and they had babies 11 months apart. And Jermaine would take the outside baby and bring him around to Jackson's, and he would tell Hazel that he had this one night affair, and the lady didn't want the baby, and he just wanted the baby to be around, and Hazel was welcoming to it. Till one day, and telling the other lady that, you know, that his other kids that they really love this baby, and that Hazel's not in the picture anymore, living this double life. Anyway, one day he had the baby too long, and she called his house only to find out Jermaine wasn't there. Anyway, long story short, Hazel and whatever the other lady name is, and she's written a book, they became friends and began to co-parent in a way. You know, they would set up visitation between her kids and the other kids. So the kids would grow up. But Jermaine was going around having babies, and you're not thinking about the children, like especially the ones who are cousins and siblings.
Yeah. Just splashing sperm around.
So I made that point to say, like what Paula is saying, we don't think about what everyone is not considering the children.
The children, yeah, and the effects that they go through.
And the effects that they go through, because Tiffany's like 40 and she's still dealing with that.
And you don't know how that's affected her relationship with men throughout the years.
Right.
Yeah.
With who?
Men throughout the years. Yeah.
No, she's a lesbian.
Yeah. I remember
we know how that's affected her relationship with men throughout the years.
I was like,
she ain't got no relationship with no men. I ain't got to worry about it.
Well, we don't. Okay, all right. So maybe she likes, butch. Okay, let's go on. So look, I want to add on to that though, because Gabrielle, she said that she faulted herself for Dwayne Wade being unfaithful. So this is what she said. She said that the fact that he impregnated another woman, she said was, let me see, because her acting schedule got in the way of their relationship and the distance between them caused Wade to stray. She said, when Dwayne and I broke up briefly in 2013, it was because of distance and scheduling. She said, I was finished filming the show, then I flew to Vegas right away to start shooting Think Like a Man 2. I should have taken time off. I missed some quality time together with him that we both desperately needed. Union doesn't believe that men are innately wired to cheat. Instead, she believes that the 31-year-old NBA superstar stepped out on her because she wasn't affectionate enough or available to him when he wanted to get frisky in the bedroom.
Okay.
Could you be woman enough to say that?
It's not about being a woman.
Wait.
Yeah, you go ahead. You know we're on the same page.
Because why did she have to make all those allowances? Why didn't he get off the court and go see where she was at?
Because
they're both professional, right? They're both professional people and have stringent schedules. And in that, this is why I'm saying about the whole sandbox theory. If you this is what we do. We have this understanding, and we decided we're going to do this. So you're telling me that you're just that weak and that lonely that you had to go get somebody, and you got all that paper that you couldn't hop your behind on the jet and said, let me go see my woman because she's filming?
Right, and let me take it a step
further.
Are you
kidding me? This is right. This is what makes me angry, because it's always about that, I'm sorry, making the man feel special, stroking his ego. When do we come into play? Who's going to stop and make us feel special? When are you going to do something for me to make me feel like I'm a queen? It's always about, a woman always has to do all these. Well, I'm not saying that we don't love our man, but the thing of it is that when is it our turn?
Right. Take responsibility for where you may have fell short, but not like that.
Yeah, not like that.
Because there has to be, especially when they both have the resource, that's something that maybe they both failed. And if you're having sex with someone basically in a revenge because I'm not having sex with you, number one, that's childish. Number two, we can talk about this or we don't have to talk about this. You so pissed off with me that you even lost the common sense enough to put on a condom? Come on now. You that angry and that frustrated. You didn't just cheat. You cheated without a condom on.
Yeah, but that he didn't cheat. He made a conscious decision to do what it is that he wanted to do. I can't say the word, messed with her mind to make her think that it was her fault because you were not available for me. Right. You were not here to meet my needs. But check this out. Her needs were not being met. But she was good with it. She handled her business. She was on her grind, and she didn't go see anybody.
I have my own. So number one, there's a 10-year age difference between them two.
And she probably scared because she's older than him. She feels like I look young.
And then she has this great trophy. That's what I think. Just in following her through the years and seeing the relationships that she's been through. I mean, he's Dwayne Wade.
So
but I think he's up here. I mean, she's her career hasn't been Halle Berry's career. Her career is not Taraji P. Henson's career. I just think she said, okay, well, I'm sure behind the scenes was a little bit more, but that's.
Well, then you have to also think about the relationships that she had. Did she have one or two failed marriages? Just one?
I think it was one.
Just
one.
And
then the relationship, I believe, before Dwayne was like really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, she could have had her own insecurities, and
we all have our own insecurities.
We all do. But what we can't do, we can never allow someone and I'll get the line wrong because I got it from Best Man, but we can never allow someone to define us in the meaning of which how they think we should be or who we should be. You should be able to define yourself by who, like you were saying about this midlife crisis, individuality. You should be able to define yourself. You should be able to sustain happiness and fulfillment.
True.
You don't need to be defined. I didn't give him the time that he needed. Okay.
But right, that's what I'm saying. Well, when am I going to get my time? When am I going to get when I need? When am I going to get my strokes? Because we're so busy stroking. You know what I mean?
But do we? I mean, this is a little vague. We don't know whether he did make trips because it would have been a two-way thing. You know, if she's
well,
out
I mean,
for
it's
an
always
extended
two
amount of
sides.
time,
Well, there's three sides to a
people
story.
going back and forth. We don't know what efforts he made.
Right, and I'm not going to.
I would hate to think that he did absolutely nothing.
But I would also hate to think that sleeping with someone else outside of the person who you say you only want to sleep with, that anyone would make someone else say that you basically forced me to do it.
Right.
Because it's a choice. And
Right.
that she took him and strapped him down and jumped on him and said, you going to do
Yes.
this. You know,
Release.
nobody is making anybody. These are choices.
Yes.
Right,
Conscious decisions.
Right,
that
it's
they're making.
conscious
Right, I understand.
decisions. And, you know, I've heard a lot. Well, because you didn't do this, because you didn't do that, because you didn't do this. This is why I did this, and that. So when the tables turn and you're saying because you didn't do this and because you didn't do that, I did this, and you got to take that like a G.
Right.
You got to be able, because you're saying that it's okay. You know, you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
And it doesn't work that way, but it should work that way because you're making me feel this way. So I decided to do this, and that.
Yeah, because, I mean, if we're being honest, in the words of Coach, if we're being honest, yeah, there might be some ownership in when you feel, because I've been in situations where I can understand where people want to go over here. I've been there myself quite a few times. But, I didn't get on that. But you have to take ownership. You can't make it their fault. It's not your fault. I did it.
Yeah.
But I want you to understand that when you set this atmosphere, that atmosphere set me and set this feelings inside of me in motion. Now I made the conscious decision whether or not I would do or not do.
True.
You know. So there's some ownership that you do have to take in how we got here. But I can't take ownership in what you chose to do.
Right. You're absolutely right. You know, don't blame me. You understand what I mean? Because I think I'm at the place right now, like I was telling Will, I'm all about the shelf life. It's really got me on edge. You know, I made a therapy appointment, and I'm very transparent. I'm proud that I'm
tomorrow. Right?
Yes, I'm going tomorrow. I'm really excited about it.
Let me know how it goes.
We're going after the
I'm
show.
looking for a new therapist myself.
I'm going to take her after the show and just leave it there, yeah.
And because it's like I'm just feeling like really weird. I'm not feeling like myself. It's like
have you talked to anybody who's your age? I wonder if it's something that people are wired to. Because I know going into my 40s, I was just acting kind of. I think that was my midlife situation going into my 40s. I would just be wondering if this is something that you just naturally go to as you're approaching your age.
I'm not sure because, you know, every day I get up, I was like, you know, my shelf life is short. It's like now I'm trying to rush everything.
Oh, that's what you mean by shelf life.
Yes. You know, it's like, it's not like I'm going backwards. You know, I guess at this point,
you feel like you're facing your mortality.
Yeah. And like, I just want to just enjoy myself, and I just want to, not to a fault, but it's just so many things that I just want to do. You know what I mean? This freedom that I'm feeling. You know what I mean? Right. And it's just got me feeling really weird about myself.
Do you want a red sports car?
No, I don't want to do that.
Okay.
I think there's nothing else. I mean, I just want to, Sarah and I were going to this Kazuma class because everybody knows that I love to dance a lot. And I think that at this stage in my life, which I don't think anything's wrong with it, I just really want to enjoy myself. You know, I worked every day. I was thinking about it when I was like 12, 14 years old. I had to work on tobacco. That's when I started.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
I did that, too.
Yes, it was terrible.
Mm.
Yes, my parents made me do it because they did it.
Yeah.
You know, and
do you feel like you sacrificed that?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
You know, I've been working, babysitting. You know, I get up and go to work every day.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just it's like this new birth. It's like I'm being birthed all over again.
Right.
And it may be a short span of time that I'm going through this phase. I don't know why I'm going through it, but it's just
It might be your enlightening, you know, your enlightening, your new awakening. But I mean, there's nothing wrong with seeking further, deeper, and to see what more is. Could it be? Is it connected to something else? I think it's good.
The root to it.
Yeah, what I'm trying to find the root to why I'm feeling this way. Like I just want to just run. You know, if you ever watch The Sound of Music, and how she's just running down the fields.
You want that moment.
Yeah, I want that moment.
Yeah.
You want the short haircut?
No, I don't want that.
We can do that next week.
No, you're trying to get me killed.
All right, you know what? Our first guest is on the line, Miss Angel Davis. First of all, she has a promotion for all of our listeners. Any listener of the LFI radio show interested in coaching will receive a complimentary 30-minute consultation. They will also receive a 20% discount off their first hour of coaching, or a bonus session if you choose a 4, 8, or 12 session package. Just make sure that you mention that you are a listener of LFI radios in order to receive that promotion.
Right.
Angel Davis, she is going to talk to us about dealing with loss. So Angel Davis is a certified life coach and has a BFA in theater from the University of Oklahoma. Her coaching specializes in purpose-driven life, I like that, relationships, and loss, all my favorite topics. She's direct, real, and a force, and does it all with a smile and a noted sense of humor. So we're gonna welcome to the station. I'm sorry, Miss Angel Davis. How are you? Getting choked up. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. So, what's your personal connection with loss?
Can't hear.
Oh no.
And so, you know, that really took a toll on our family because we have a very small family, and that was kind of the beginning of being shook up, if you will. I had losses of grandparents, but those are expected. You know what I mean?
Right.
And this was the first kind of what just happened moment. And then in 2014, I lost my husband to a rare cancer.
Oh, wow.
And I was 37 when that happened. And I have a daughter. And then last year I lost my father, my grandmother, and my mother-in-law.
In the same year?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So what happened was it just became compacted grief. So I just had a couple of years of just serious, you know, the heavy hitters, your husband, your dad, you know. So I certainly feel like I have some experience with loss.
Okay, wow.
Well, God
and I had a miscarriage. I forgot to miss.
Oh, man. Well, God bless
that's
you,
what
you
set it
know.
off. Thank you.
There has definitely been purpose to your pain, and we are definitely reaping the benefit of how you are assisting and helping others navigate through their own pain. What do you think has been the biggest lesson? And I'm sorry, I'm Rhonda. What has been the biggest lesson? How are you doing today, Angel?
I'm good.
Awesome. Me too. What's the biggest lesson you've learned from all this loss?
The biggest lesson I've learned is I'm not special. And I can't tell you how much that has impacted me. Is I'm not special. And what I mean by that is that this wasn't personal. You know what I mean? Like when things like this happen, our go-to as human beings is to say, you know, well, why me? And I didn't deserve this or whatever. And I really got through this that, well, why not me?
Right.
You know, what makes me different than you? Nothing. I'm a creature on this earth just like anybody else. And for some reason, I found comfort in that, in the knowing that, you know, this is a part of it. This
Right.
is a part of our journey, and that nobody really escapes the evolution of life. You know,
Correct.
the ebbs and the flows. Nobody escapes that. So it made me feel more connected somehow, that I wasn't singled out, that the world wasn't out to get me. You know, that the universe or God, or, you know, if you believe in a higher power, that I wasn't being made an example of. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then it made me realize in that loss, take for instance my husband, which was a real thing to get through. But through that, it made me also go, okay, but so I lost my husband, but his mother lost her son.
Right.
True.
You know, his
True, yeah.
brothers lost their sibling. My daughter lost her father. You know, he had friends. He had a whole community who loved him, and they're all going through it. So I'm not special.
Wow.
I'm just like they are. And
Right.
and therefore we all can sort of be and go through this together.
Hi, Angel. How are you? My name is Paula.
Hi, Paula.
Hi. What were some of the key things you did to get through all of that loss?
I would say not resisting my feelings.
Okay.
You know, I feel like, you know, people go two ways. We either go like so just, you know, where you can't get up, you can't whatever, or we go to the opposite extreme where you just sort of ignore it. You just keep busy.
Yeah.
And I always say, you know, you probably heard this: what we resist persists.
Right.
So any time that if I didn't feel like doing something, I didn't do it. I allowed myself to feel whatever it was that I was feeling, and it never got out of control. But I never fought it. Also, for me, I'm a social person, and it helped me to be around people that I love, that love the person that I lost.
Okay.
I know some people find that off-putting. They can't be around them because it reminds them of the person. Yeah. So you kind of have to find that for yourself, and I would say in that case, don't do it. Again, don't force yourself into doing something. But for me, I found comfort in that because then I can talk openly about it.
Right.
And we could sort of share in this thing together. Like I said, my community was so important. Healthy eating and exercising and self-care.
Really?
And dancing. Oh, my God, dancing.
Dancing.
I love to dance. I love it. And I mean, literally, if it's just me putting on music saying I got to get out of this funk, and I'll put on music and dance until I sweat. Because it made me feel better. And I know a lot of people, grief is a time, it's an excuse to not do any of those things. To go the opposite, to eat what we want, do what we want, because we justify, I'm hurting. And I knew it was important to do just the opposite of that, which was to maintain what I'd always done, to exercise, because, the mind, the mind is a tricky thing.
Angel, you just made a point when you just said about grief. And so do you feel that there's a difference between mourning and grief? I guess a two-part question. But difference between mourning and grief. And is there, per your opinion, a certain way you're supposed to act after a loss?
Yeah, there is a difference between mourning and grief. One of them has the ability to end. And I say has the ability because I think mourning at some point becomes a choice. In that, but it's the first part of the experience, the mourning. That's the real dark period. But grief never goes away. You don't. One minute that person's there, and the next minute they're not, and you can't forever be changed by that.
Yeah.
I think it's sort of silly to expect people when we say things like, "Well, you should get over it." What you're really referring to, what people are really referring to, I think, is the mourning aspect of that. But you have to understand that grief never goes away. That person has forever left a void there.
Okay.
You just manage it. I mean, you manage it.
Right.
But it's silly to say we're going to one day wake up and be like, oh, that's fine. I'm good now.
Right.
I'm good without that person in my life. No, you'd rather have them in your life. But what you are good is through the mourning process. You're able to get up. You're you are, when I say that choice, I kind of talk about this sometimes about being an active participant in your life, but that is what it is. Mourning, there comes a point where you know and you understand, do I want to feel like this every day?
And those are the same feelings
if I don't,
that you not only go through in losing a person, also in relationships. You go through those same
relationships,
yeah,
jobs. Loss is loss. I had a lot of people, they were breaking up or divorcing, and they didn't really want to talk to me about it because they felt like it was so trivial. And I was like, it's the same. You're mourning. I mean, you're doing the exact same thing that I am. One day you were married, and the next day you weren't.
Your husband.
You're right. I mean, it is the same. So I think there's definitely a difference in how you should act after loss. Is that the second part of that? Was that the second part of that question?
Yes.
Yeah. No, there's not a no. That's the thing. There is no way to act and behave after you lose someone. I would say give yourself time, no matter the outside chatter. Again, when people say you should get over it, nobody knows you better than you. Nobody. It's very important to move at your own pace, and figure out what you're comfortable doing. I always am cautious of being around people that are expecting you to behave a certain way. People, you see this in interviews with police where they say, people respond differently to trauma.
Right.
And grief. And we as a society have a tendency to say it should look like this. No, it should look like truth. And whatever your truth is.
Right.
No, Angel, were you already certified as a life coach and experienced with, helping people through loss, or did you go into that after these things occurred?
No, I was already certified. I was not certified when my brother passed away, but by the time my husband passed away, I was certified.
Okay. So I've always wanted to know, do you seek help or do you help yourself?
No, I do not help myself. My God. No. Because I would never take advice. We never take advice. No. Go seek someone else. I did with my husband. I ended up, I did seek out a grief group. I really was seeking it out for my daughter. She seemed fine, but I wanted to make sure.
Okay.
She was 4 when it happened. And so I did seek out grief group, but what was really specific about mine was I only was around people that had lost their spouse within the same year. And that was truly, truly impactful. And I would definitely encourage people to seek out a group that deals specifically with your loss. It would have been very hard for me to sort of relate. I can understand it, but to relate to somebody who, say, maybe lost their child or a grandparent or something like that, and and then I'm dealing with my husband. So that, but I did, and I do now. Even when I'm dealing with any kind of personal growth, I seek out. I have several friends that are coaches, and I seek them out specifically for specific things, whether it's my career, personal growth. Yeah, I don't turn this way.
I guess
I'm liable not to take my own advice.
I guess I'm a little naive to the whole situation. I would think that someone who is, you said your daughter was 4.
Yeah.
When your husband passed, and I would think that she doesn't really know what's going on yet, that she would need any type of counseling or assistance. But did you find that to be different? That she did? I know you said that she appeared okay.
Yeah. And I don't want to sound like a typical parent, but she's definitely an atypical child. We did not shield her from any of the things that were going on. She saw him go into the ambulance. She saw when medics would come to the hospital and have to drain his lungs, things like that. We didn't shield her from that. I didn't shield her from crying, any of it. And part of it is because we didn't expect him to die, honestly, when he did. But in retrospect, I would definitely do the same thing. Talking so openly about it, she definitely understood. When I asked her, do you understand what that means? Your dad died. And she said, he's never coming back. I said, yeah. Whether she understood a spiritual existence and that kind of thing, well, we don't understand that.
Right.
We speculate about it. So, you know, that didn't bother me, but her understanding what cremation was versus burial, like all of those things she dealt with in her grief group. So she has a real logical way of understanding what death is. And so it's not taboo in our house, mortality. So I think it was important because they approached things that I don't know that I would have, because I would have assumed she either A, wouldn't understand, or B, it didn't matter. Such as cremation. I told her that he died, but it never occurred to me to talk about the process.
Right.
And it was the first question they asked her when they interviewed her, and I was like, oh, snap, okay, well. And you know, she, you know, they explained it. Your body goes through this when it dies, and she's been able to handle it.
Wow.
So, yeah, I think it's important to get a little bit of a more professional opinion in that arena to make sure, because she was so young.
Yeah. And I think that's what that's different about nowadays. Back when I was coming up, you know, kids didn't even know about all that.
Yeah.
And your parents would shield you from it, or they would make up, you know, he's gone away, you know, whatever. And I think it's good that you didn't shield her from that.
They wouldn't even let you go to the funeral and stuff.
A lot of them you would be too young to go to the funeral.
We couldn't go. But I have a question. Well, my dad has been gone for like 20 years maybe, or I don't know how many. But, you know, I had a difficult time with my dad's death. And so much so that I called his phone just to make sure, you know what I mean? Because I just really wasn't believing it. But after my dad passed away, I was so worried about him. I mean, I couldn't sleep. I went through so much. And then the weirdest thing happened. I had a dream about my dad. I was kind of scared to open my eyes, but I just opened them a little bit. And he was in my room. And he told me that he was okay. And once my dad told me that he was okay,
wow.
I was at peace with the whole thing. I felt amazing after that.
Ooh, wow.
But it's just so weird how I was just so worried about him.
Yeah.
That was a weird experience.
I can bet. I can imagine.
That was
weird. I mean, because we don't know. Right? So, I mean, that's the thing. It really is the unknown. Even if you believe in a heaven or hell or what you believe in, you don't know what it looks like.
Right. So, a question for you. What helps to create a positive experience with a loss?
Really staying connected to the soul that's moved on, I say. And I know that this can be a little bit tricky because I think people can sometimes collapse connection with obsession. What I mean by that is, you know, celebrating the special day, celebrating the birthday, celebrating, you know, for you, some people that, you know, be like calling your dad's phone, if that locked you into not being able to deal with his death, then I would say, okay, that's not healthy. But if that was something that you just found comforting to be able to hear his voice, I would say that's a connection.
That's right.
And to do that, we talk openly about everybody that's gone. Everybody. We talk very openly about it, candidly about it. What are we going to do for Father's Day? You know, what do you want to do? Let's eat his favorite ice cream. Okay, let's do it. You know, talking again, being around people that get it, being around people that love that person and have no qualms about chatting about it, laughing about it, sometimes crying about it. It shouldn't be taboo to have that kind of connection. I think, again, the whole resist, persist thing, I think we spend a lot of time as a society in trying to say we need to move on from that. And I think it's because we all recognize our own mortality within it. But it's a positive thing because, like I said, the grief doesn't go away.
Right.
Your memories of that person don't go away. So why not just make it? If you miss them today, say it out loud.
That's right.
Hey, I miss you today, and keep it moving.
That's right.
It doesn't have to be a profound thing that you do. It's just an acknowledgement that person is still with you. Yeah.
And you know what, Angel, we appreciated you being candid and how you dealt with your grief, and it reminds me, like Paula, she said she lost her father. My father died a few years ago, and I saved his voicemail as an MP3 file so that there are times where I can just hear his voice, and it brings comfort. I think that what you're doing here, it's a beautiful thing. It's great that you are already on the path of helping others see their path and to help them with something as specific and difficult as grief can be. We already know about the promotion that our listeners can get if they would like to connect with you, but what can they do to actually get connected with you? What are your social media or email or websites? What's that information that we can give out to our listeners tonight?
Yeah, my website is angeldaviscoaching.com. They can connect that way. You can always email me at speakeasyfacilitator at gmail.com. And I'm on Instagram, Angel Davis Coaching. My Facebook page is actually Speak Easy, is my Facebook page. Okay. I'm an advocate for clear communication, so that's why I'm always about speaking easy.
Right, I like that.
Yes.
And I'm on Twitter as Speak Easy Angel as well. So
awesome. Well, thank you so much, Angel, for coming on the show. We really appreciate everything that you shared with us.
Thank you guys for this opportunity.
Thanks, Angel.
No problem. Have a good night.
Thank you. You too.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Ronnie, you had something you wanted to talk about? Or did we discuss your topic? I know you got something juicy. If not, we're going to get into some situationships.
Yes. I don't have anything too juicy. You know, one thing that's personal to me is education, or as Carter G. Woodson and Lauryn Hill would later say, the miseducation of. You know, and sometimes we don't get the correct spotlight. I don't know if you guys saw in the news recently, it's been a lot of greatness. We've seen that there was a couple of high schools where they've had celebrated their first black valedictorian.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
But more specific, there was one where a black girl was a valedictorian, and instead of letting her have that honor alone, they made her share it with a white student who GPA was not the highest.
And she became the
co-valedictorian.
Horrible.
When did you start having a co-valedictorian?
They don't. You know when Black Lives don't matter. I mean, and it's like, how do you feel about that? You know, I'm not trying to jump into a big race riot, you know.
But I think we need to.
But we have to talk about that. We have to talk about why is that okay? Because it's not like they had, like, their numbers were so close, like one was a 4.3, one was a 4.31. It wasn't even like that. Yeah. And even it was like that. Sometimes it comes down to that little bit of a point to make you the valedictorian.
That's right.
And so then that means that she should have been the other girl, the salutatorian. Yeah. Did they not have a salutatorian? Why did they have to have co-valedictorians?
Right. And just to add to this story, there was the Daily News reports that school district was slapped with the lawsuit a couple of years ago for failure to desegregate its schools after being told to do so 50 years ago.
Wow.
Well, there you have it.
And the district initially tried to contest the judge's order, but eventually ended up complying.
Wow.
So
it's like, wait, what are we? My daughter asked me the other day what.
It's in Mississippi too. The school
Yeah.
in Mississippi.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
okay, that makes sense.
She asked me what did the NAACP stand for, and I wanted to say non-existent because and I apologize for any NAACP person that I offend, but we do no longer have organizations, groups, leaders. We have more sound bites and more trends than we do people really trying to fight for legislation and going in places where change never even took place. You know.
Well, let me tell you my thought on that.
Please.
And because, you know, I go, like Will said, you know, we go to a lot of events, we go to a lot of parties, you know, we're all over the place. And what I find is that, you know, there's big discussions about what it is that you just spoke about. Once that discussion is over, everybody goes to their neutral corners, which they go home.
Right.
And that's the end of it. You know, and then they want to say we don't have organization. You could talk about it in your house and you can talk about it amongst your friends and have these big, deep discussions.
Right.
But the thing of it is this is why I don't like to talk about it, because it makes me feel like I'm on a hamster wheel, because you're just going around and around and nobody's doing anything about it.
Right.
Nobody wants to be that self-starter, even though we do have the NAACP here. And there's people doing things, but when they invite people out and try to get you to come to the meetings, nobody wants to do that. You know, but we want to talk about what's wrong, but we don't want to put our hand to the plow.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because we have plenty of leaders.
Right.
And we have people that are born to be leaders. You can be a leader. Will can be a leader. I can be a leader. But do I want to take the time to do that? But we want to sit around and talk about it. So we either going to do it and not talk about it, or talk about it and be on that hamster wheel. It's only two ways it's going to be.
Yeah.
You can't blame it on the NAACP. That's just the NAACP. They need people that are motivated enough to have passion. We have passion talking to one another.
Yeah.
But we don't have passion to make that movement, to make it happen. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. I mean, I don't think we have the leaders, though. I think we have people, like you just said, I think the majority of us talk about it and we get frustrated about it, but I don't think we have people who are willing, and this might be exactly what you just said, we don't have anyone who's willing to lead the movement.
But but that's my question, and it maybe sounds stupid. Who are you waiting for? It could be you.
Well, I do stuff.
No, I'm just saying, I'm not pointing the finger at you.
Yeah, I mean, I try to do my part. I do.
I'm not pointing the finger at you, but what I'm saying is that you guys are they're just waiting for that one leader. You know, nothing's gonna happen because you're just waiting on that one leader. But you don't need one leader. We can just be all the Indians. You know, the leader can evolve out of that. Does that make sense to me?
No, it does.
Because we're gonna keep waiting and nothing's gonna happen.
Well, I'm not looking for a big leader, because on a whole nother day we'll talk, not during his month, because I don't want to take away from his legacy, that the 50s was great, but we just had spokespeople. We didn't really have the foot soldiers. Martin Luther King was great, but he wasn't the foot. It was more than Martin Luther King.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? I'm looking for this to stop being okay. Not looking for people who don't look like us to realize it's not okay. I'm tired of waiting for us as a group to not lead. I mean, it doesn't have to be a specific person. You know, Black Lives Matter is great, but what are the funds doing with Black Lives Matter? Are we going to places like Mississippi and helping with a legal fund to actually, because the parents are suing for discrimination? I think, you know, as our culture, our society, you know, what are we doing?
I mean, they came up with Black Lives Matter.
Then stay woke.
Well, but the thing of it
is,
right,
and I had to Google that today, because I'll tell you about my whole sad day, but go ahead.
Yeah, but you know, what is it doing? You know, it's just on a whole bunch of T-shirts, and then when something happens, everybody's like Black Lives Matter. But the thing of it is, does it really matter? Because once the momentum has died down of whatever transpired, we're going back again. I'm going to use my saying, in our neutral corners, doing our everyday life, getting up, going to work, doing our thing. You know, then something pops off, then we're back to Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, and it bothers me, because there are so many platforms that are, I'm taking Paula's word, that really are hamster wheels, or platforms that are just sound bites. It sounds great. It looks good on a T-shirt.
They're popular.
You know, and everyone can define it and say, this is what it means to me, and yada, yada, yada. But what is it doing to change whatever the thing is that used it to get in the front of the spotlight? What are we doing?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Well, it's racism. I know as a group, as a population, as a community, it's affecting us all. But personally, how do you see racism? How does racism affect you personally? Show up in your life? I mean, for me, it showed up very real. Now, I'm going to ramble a lot, but hopefully you'll be able to grab the meat from it. For me, my brothers and my sisters, I think there was a rapper who said that they had never experienced racism. Who was it? It was somebody.
Lil Wayne.
I think it was Lil Wayne. I did not grow up in a family that was rich by no means. My mom worked 2 jobs. My dad worked 12 hours, 7 days a week, as a salesman. But you couldn't tell me and my brother and my sister that we weren't, because they did everything they could to make sure that we had the life that the white people had. Right. Mm-hmm. So we didn't see that. They shielded us from a lot. So we went to the best schools.
Correct.
We moved into a neighborhood where nobody looked like us.
Right.
So in my mind, okay, we were the Cosbys, and that's how my friends saw us. So I didn't experience a whole bunch, or I didn't experience blatant racism like it is today. But today I was in Panera Bread. I don't mind saying it. I was in Panera Bread. And you know how they bring you the food?
Yeah.
So I was happy. I was in a good mood. Sat there.
I'm so glad I wasn't there.
Saw the little lady. She was old. I don't ever want to be like that. That's why I IRA. But she was, walking up to the table, and she had a sad look on her face. And, I said, thank you. Nothing. And it was like almost a disgust when she put it down. So I was like, okay. Try not to pay attention. But the same lady, she came to take another order, took it to a lady who was Caucasian. Bubbly, friendly, stopped to compliment her on her bag. I was like, okay, just a little microaggression that I had noticed. And then she did it again to the point where I said, oh, so it was me that she had the problem with. Then I had to look at my cream soup and say, I hope she did nothing to my cream soup, because I realized that I was having a racist moment. And then prior to that, I had remember I told you I was going to pay on my procedure for my face. Right. And got there and realized that there was some racial things going on that I had to kind of like stand up for. But I was like, oh my God. So I've just been naive to the whole fact. I guess people would say I wasn't woke. Yeah. And realizing that it happens.
Stay woke.
Yeah, stay woke.
I mean, I don't think that, I'm not going to say that you're not woke, because you're a well-rounded, educated dude.
I hate
but
that
the
phrase,
thing of, I can't stand that. You're not consciously aware.
Right.
I mean, I'm consciously aware because stuff happens to me. I mean, I grew up the same way you did. My husband would crack it because I grew up
all three of us.
Yeah, I grew up like that. I was in a busing program, and I was bussed out to the schools where, they wanted to touch your hair because they think it's different. And, you know what I mean? They think you can dance amazing. But, I have some amazing, some of my best friends are white. I didn't really get it. I have experienced it, you know what I mean? Even when I was in high school, a little bit.
But do you experience it more today?
No, I mean, not really. Okay. You know what I mean? I really don't. I haven't, I really didn't start experiencing it until I was in the workplace, because, I was always in, they in La La Land thinking everybody just loved peace, love, and hair grease. That's just the type of chick I am, until my dad kept explaining to me it's not like that. And I was like, no, Daddy, you're wrong. Right. Everybody just loves everybody. That's just how I am,
That was your view of
That was my view.
And your experience.
And then when that happened, when I saw it, it really hurt my feelings. Yeah. You know what I mean? I was crying about it. Yeah. And that's why my dad was telling me, he said, because I knew that it was going to hurt your feelings. Because I still don't, and still to this day, I don't get it. But what I have found is that it's a generation of people that's keeping racism going. Right. It's not my daughter's generation. They're not like that. They can care less. Just like I read that story on Facebook, how the girl, I think it could have been in Miss Alabama, how she was dating a black kid, and they took her to the prom, and her father had a fit. She put everything on Facebook, the whole argument and everything. And she told her father, "You disgust me. You're a racist." You know what I mean? And she went to. He's like, "If you go to the prom with this dude, I'm disowning you." She went anyway because she said, "This isn't our world, right?" You have. That's why I can't get it. I'm lost because you have white people married to black people. You have Filipino married to black people. You have same-sex marriages. There's so much going on. It's a hodgepodge of things going on. So it's that small corner of these old people. I'm not going to just people that want to keep that going. And the thing of it is that they're running the world. You see what I mean? They're running. I was
gonna say that,
yeah,
too.
They're running our world.
They have the positions.
They have the positions
and the platforms.
And the platforms, but when they're done and over with, you see what I mean? But
if there's anything left.
If there's anything
they've
left,
left the legacy.
Yeah, they left the legacy. That's what I was gonna say. And like my daughter's generation, they're gonna take over the world, and I really believe in my heart that it's not gonna be that way anymore because of the way they think. You know what I mean? They're free in themselves and their own individuality. And the older people that keep this going, they're not free within themselves. You know what I mean? They don't carry the same sex holding hands, when they be like, oh, just think it's not like that. They're non-judgmental people.
Yeah. I'm gonna let you speak. A pastor friend of mine said, just as soon as all them die off, we'll be able to get some progress.
Right. That's what I said.
And that's a mentality of some older churches too. As soon as we get rid of them old saints and ain'ts.
Yes, he was a pastor.
We can move forward. Here's my take on racism. I believe, just like what Paula said, I think that the thing about racism is that we have to understand is that it's like, have you ever, if you're baking something and you bake like you're making bread or you're making a dough, whatever, and you put a little bit of food coloring, and so every now and then a piece you'll come up and you'll see that streak of this in there because it wasn't a part of the original recipe, but it's something that's put in there and it shows up in different pieces. I believe racism is institutionalized in that sense, that certain things that is carried on and it's sprinkled, and some people don't even realize that it's racism. Some people don't realize it's colorism. When people say things, when they can recognize, when they say things like, I don't think all black people are bad, when you have an issue with black people, because it's not synonymous. Bad and black are not synonymous. You might think someone who has certain characteristics are bad, but black person should not be in that same category. But I'm saying that to say that I think that the country that we live in, I think it was built on something that racism necessarily was not part of the recipe, but it was sprinkled inside of our makeup. And I don't think, unless we have a time where everyone is destroyed, I don't think racism will ever go away. But I think what has to happen is we have to continue to have people who are more liberated in the way that they are and the way that they're living and the way that they think, that they can become that thinking can become the majority. Because you can never, look at roaches. You can't get rid of something. Certain things just don't go away.
For a while, they might not show their face.
But when the lights come on, they're like, player, listen, I just want to get that crummy left. Don't mess with me, I ain't gonna mess with you. But I can even go deeper with that because roaches leave diseases. But the general sense is, so for me, for us individually, unless you dealt with moments like you said, I don't think for the most part, and maybe we can say this because we're living in Virginia and not Mississippi or Alabama, I don't think we have to deal with outright racism on a daily basis. We don't have to deal with that. We live in a country where our leaders say and do things that come across as very racist.
Well, what about the lady? You saw the high school graduate that the road rage incident.
Yes.
Where it was, I think she was only 18, graduated.
Right, and then
she was weeks away from going to college, and there was a situation I think where they were merging.
Right, and when road rage, and he killed her. Bam.
Yeah.
And now
it wasn't even an argument.
No.
So I want to know, number one, where the gun come from that quickly? And has she had blonde hair, blue eyes? Would you have still shot her, or what?
Probably not. And the fact that you had no remorse and you left a body that you shot at. Road rage is a beast. I've had the urge to follow people off of a road that have pissed me off.
Are you serious?
I have. I've had the urge.
Never had.
I've had the urge to do that. Because I'm like, was it that serious? You have to. Did it mean that much to you that you made me miss my exit?
Do you think about that now? Like even. I think about not blowing the horn. I think about now,
having
people sitting at the light. I think about blowing the horn.
I like being petty. I wish there was a way I could have their license plate and call the police or something.
They're never
connect.
There when you need it.
Right.
When they do stuff like that.
I wish I could have a way to get them just arrested for being a bully on the road, something. But we are. A lot of people are celebrating that the man's arrested. Mm-hmm. You know, you can't feel anything until that man is convicted and found guilty. Mm-hmm. Because, I mean...
And based upon how we're basically being treated in the judicial system, that may not happen.
It'll
be reduced to something, probation,
involuntary manslaughter,
6 months.
you know... Yeah. And then because it's the first time offense, but he might remember the guy who was on his way home in Florida from a wedding, and it was at a gas station. There was a group of black guys, and they had loud music, and he felt threatened just because of their music, and shot, and I think he killed two of them and shot up, and then left the scene because he said he was scared because he was left, and he was arrested, convicted.
It was the old guy, wasn't it?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think he's doing like 30 years in jail.
Good.
So let me ask this question. I think I asked it before, but I want to ask it again. Well, two things. If you really look at racism and everything that's done, all the hatred, who is the culprit, the weaker person? Who's really the culprit in the racism, keeping it going? Who is the evil one? You know, like even if you see on the movies, who's doing the bad stuff? Those, and you can't look at, we're not doing it. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And when I look at things like that, because I had a discussion with my dad one time, and he's like, really, they're trying to make us out to be the evil ones, but we're not the evil ones.
We did the hospital thing in D.C. I mean, in New York. The hospital shooting, the one I think was Bronx.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but
the doctor who went back in.
Yeah, but you there's not that many. It's a rarity that you'll find African American serial killers.
That's correct. I mean, it's rare, and it's a very low statistic.
Yeah,
and black people can't be racist because racist is a superior attitude towards another race. We can never have a superior attitude as a whole because it doesn't matter if we outnumber them. We will never, no minority, even if our minority becomes the majority because of the way our country is set up, we will never be the majority thought or planners, if you will. So we can't necessarily be racist. But here's the thing: do you all remember the original Birth of a Nation? The one that was we have the caller coming in. The one that was not the one that Nate Parker did, but the one that came out in the 20s.
I don't remember that.
That movie was first time where you had moving film, one of the first time with moving film and acting and all of this type of stuff. But it was also when we got introduced to what white America wanted us to believe what black people looked like. There was white people in blackface, and the black people were portrayed as these oversexed people who were raping white women. And they were scary and all of this stuff, and they were doing all of these things, and that was a lot of people their first impression of what it means to be black. And so to answer what Paula was saying, the culprit, it was just what the culprit is today for a lot of things. We said the media. The media helps portray an ignorance or a mindset, and it's ran with it. The original Birth of a Nation, I think it came out like in the early 1900s.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, but I'm gonna look up. Hold on a second, because we actually have our next guest, and we'll come back to this after that. But we have Kimberly Giles, I believe. She's an international human behavior expert professional. She's also a speaker, a corporate trainer, an author, and an innovator. She's going to talk to us about living a life without fear. I know I can do a lot of things. I can check off my list if I can just move beyond, the fear of my fear is number one, failure. That's mine. Do you have any fears about life?
Oh, yeah.
I know yours is about your shelf life right now.
It's about my shelf life right now.
Right. Do you have any concerns, Rhonda?
My biggest concern or my fear is that my oldest daughter won't live up to her potential.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, hopefully Kim will be able to help us with that.
My
so
other
we're going to
fears,
welcome her.
People just don't get me.
People don't get you?
Well,
you're multifaceted. I've only known you for 2 years, and I've seen at least 12 sides to Paul.
I just want somebody to get me.
All right. We're going to welcome to the show now Miss Kim Sayers Giles. I hope I'm saying her name right. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Will. Actually, it's Giles.
Giles. Okay, Rhonda had it right.
Yeah, you're good.
How are you?
You're good. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you. We can barely hear you.
Let's see. Is that any
yes,
better?
Yes, that's a lot better. Thank you so much. So we were just sharing our personal fears about life and everything. But I wanted you said you have a unique and a simple way to help understand human behavior, especially when it's coming to living a life without fear. What is that technique that you have?
Well, yeah. So actually, I think human behavior is really simple because no matter what we do, it's driven by either love or fear.
Okay.
And when you understand that, you start to look underneath behavior to see why people are acting the way they're acting. And it's usually pretty easy to tell if it's love or fear. Most of the time, we're driven by fear. I mean, I believe even a lot of the nice things we do, we're doing them so that people will be impressed and they'll like us and think that we have value. And so even a lot of the times, nice things we do are really driven by our own fear of failure, of not being good enough, which makes us needy for that validation. They're not really being driven by love.
You know what? That when you said that rang true for me because that's almost like manipulation, and manipulation is a sign of fear.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And a matter of fact, just to keep it super, super simple, there's two core fears that drive all of our bad behavior. Okay. And if you understand these two core fears, you will understand people because everybody on the planet, to some degree, is battling these two core fears every day. So, you want to know what they are?
Yes, please. Please share.
Okay. So the first is the fear of failure, which is really the fear that I might not be good enough. And I believe this starts in all of us when we're really small because the first thing we experience as a little kid is a lot of, no, don't do that. Don't you be like that. You need to be more like this. And immediately everybody's telling you, you need to change. You need to be different than however you're showing up.
Right.
Their approval, to get their love, right? And then you go to school, and the first thing you learn in school is that there's kids smarter than you, better looking, more athletic.
Exactly.
And you start the comparing, and that fear gets bigger. And I wished I could tell my kids that as an adult I've grown out of that. But in reality, as an adult, there's even more levels on which we can fail. Now we can be a terrible parent. We can fail at work.
In relationships, marriages, all of that, yeah.
Right? Everywhere. So this fear that I'm not good enough, it is one that I believe everybody on the planet is battling to some degree. And a lot of our bad behavior, a lot of the time that we put other people down, or we like to see other people as worse than us or less than us, we like to gossip, we like to find fault.
Yes.
It's really all behavior that's about, if I focus enough on all your bad, then it makes me feel like I'm good, right?
Right.
So it's all behavior that's covering for our own insecurities. And I really believe that most of the time people that are mean, that are, put others down, they're just racked with this insecurity, this fear of failure, and that's really what's driving a lot of the bad behavior. So that's fear number one. Okay, the second one that everybody on the planet's doing battle with every day, we call the fear of loss. And you ask anyone what they're most afraid of, they usually say losing my loved ones, or losing money, or losing my job. Loss concerns us. But there's lots of ways that we lose every day that are just more like the universe or life not giving us what we want. So if I even get stuck in traffic and I'm on my way to an important meeting and I wanted to be on time, and I'm freaking out in the car, or somebody cuts me off and I'm angry, it's because I feel taken from. And it's just not the experience I wanted today. So I often feel taken from by people, sometimes by God and the universe and life itself. I feel mistreated.
Yeah.
And all of those loss experiences create a lot of bad behavior. And for many people, they've been taken from so much that they're just on the lookout for mistreatment now. And so, that anything you do is going to make them feel protective or defensive, or because fear of loss is kind of running rampant underneath that behavior. So I always ask people, think about the last fight you had with your partner or your spouse.
Right.
And I'll bet you that you either felt mistreated or you felt insulted.
Right.
Or that you were failing on some level. And that's what brings out your worst behavior and my worst behavior when our fears have been triggered. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
are you guys?
You're saying that
you?
the way that we're
Got it?
responding, that is triggering, that these triggers are showing that we have a fear that would fall into one of those categories. So would this go along with this with our you're talking about human behavior, and you said you have a unique and a simple way that you understand that. Is there a simple and unique way that we understand that as well, as to, is this helping us face our fear or move beyond the fear?
Okay, so I'm going to tell two things. One, I want to, if we have time, talk about how to get out of those fears yourself so that you're less likely to get triggered and then behave badly.
Okay.
And I want everybody to be able to recognize when we're dealing with a difficult person or somebody whose behavior we don't like at that moment, and we recognize that they're scared. They're scared that they're going to lose out or that they're not enough, and that bad behavior is coming from that fear. If we understand it, we see them as scared, we'll handle it much different. We'll know how to quiet their fear, and when we can quiet their fear, we can often bring out better behavior in them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Make sense?
I think, yeah.
So I'll give you an example. Like if my husband comes home from work and he comes in and the kids have made a mess in the house, he might snap at me a little bit about this mess. And that'll trigger my fear.
Right.
I can go to he's in the doghouse now, right?
Right.
He just insulted me, basically. But I'm pretty sure that he was having fear of failure issues at work.
Okay.
And or maybe fear of loss, losing his job, and so he's come home in a fear state. And when I recognize that all bad behavior comes from their fears about themselves, it's not really about you.
Nothing personal.
Yeah, most of the time it's their fear about themselves. So if I recognize that, instead of saying, you jerk, I'm going to say, honey, are you okay? What happened today? Right? Because this isn't really about me. This is about you.
Right.
And we know this. We know bad behaviors are projection. They're hate onto other people. So when we recognize it, we can handle situations and relationships different.
I think it takes a very mature person to get, because when you come in and you're in the mindset and then somebody comes in and attacks you, it takes a very mature person to be able to step back and say, you know what, this is not about me, this is about you.
Right.
So is that really reasonable, or does it take a while to get to that point?
But I don't think that goes over well. When you say this isn't about me, this is about you, then that might trigger something else. Another argument.
Well, yeah, you're going to trigger their fear of failure, saying that you're broken, something's wrong with you, this is your issue. So I wouldn't say that, but I would understand it in myself.
Because I would say,
are you okay? What happened at work?
Okay.
And they won't be offended by that.
Okay. Now that makes sense.
Okay?
That makes sense.
Yeah, because we want to be, our goal here, especially in relationships with people we care about, that we want to have a good relationship with, you want as much as possible to be the cure to their fear, not the cause of it.
Right.
So I want my husband, instead of coming home and criticizing my housekeeping and my child raising skills, I want him to come home and recognize that I'm trying real hard and that I'm a good person and validate me and be the cure to my fear, not come in and be the cause of it.
Right. I just had this conversation on the way here, didn't we? Will?
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
Pretty much. Don't criticize. My shortcomings.
Right.
Just embrace me. Because we all have shortcomings and we all have fears. So when you're, like she said, when you're attacking me about my shortcomings, or you didn't do this, you're not doing this, you're not doing that, it does put a fear in you, like to think that you're not a great person, what I
Right.
mean, because they're just really killing you, your self-esteem, pretty much.
Right.
Is that correct?
Absolutely. So actually, we can add to that, and let me teach you how to get out of your own fear of failure.
Right, right.
Are you open to that?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
we're all
Abso-
open.
Absolutely,
Lay
yes.
out.
This is an open.
Yes.
Okay, so I'll tell you, from a psychology standpoint, the real reason that we're all afraid we might not be good enough
Mm-hmm.
is because there's a foundational belief that you've accepted that creates it. And the foundational belief is that you believe your value as a human being can go up and down. Now, what I mean is, we all kind of bought into that if we could just lose weight, make more money, be more successful, our value would go up.
Yes.
And then we could finally feel good. But if you believe it can go up, you also believe it can go down. And that means every mistake you make, every
believe
pound
that.
you
Mhm.
gain,
Mm-hmm.
right?
That's it.
We feel like it's diminished our value, and
Right.
we feel like
That's it,
we're
right.
less than other people.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as you believe that human value can change and go up and down, you also believe that some people are better than other people,
Okay.
because those beliefs go together.
Or at least the perceived value.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let me ask you.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. If you are a person that had low self-esteem, and then you begin to evolve. I'll just say like a what do you call it?
Butterfly.
A butterfly. But before you're a butterfly, you're a caterpillar.
Forgot about-
You're in a cocoon.
chrysalis and all of
yes,
that.
and all of that. And then you really each day you're just discovering yourself. Or you're finding that you have great value, and because people devalue and make you feel like you're a piece of crap, really. But once you start to come into your own and your own individuality, and you're just finding yourself, and you have this newfound freedom, and people can't see you for really what it is that what you're becoming, and they want to demoralize that and make you feel bad about it. And how do you deal with that?
Okay, so the real trick, if the problem is that you believe that your values go up and down, the answer is to decide that for you, all human beings on this planet, every single human being has the same exact intrinsic value. And that value can't go up or down. So we all have the same worth as human beings. And that means whether you're a caterpillar or a butterfly or wherever you are in your unique journey on this planet, because all of us, our journeys are so totally unique. No one will get the same one I got.
Mm-hmm.
But wherever I am in that journey, I still have the same exact value as every other human being. And I literally can't earn more and be better than anyone else, but I also can't be less than anybody else. And you guys, I've been teaching this for 15 years to people all over the country, and working with personal coaching clients. And if they can make a decision that in their world, from this point on, all human beings have the exact same value and it never changes, and they play with it all day, every day, every time they do something stupid, the first thing they say is, oh, it's a good thing that didn't change my value. Right?
Okay.
Because my value's the same all the time, no matter what.
Mhm.
And you got to teach it to your kids. When we're out at the basketball game and my son's team wins, they come off the court bragging, how we're so awesome.
Right.
And I quickly remind them, that's great, you won, but you still have the same value as the kids on the other team. It didn't change anything.
Mm-hmm.
And when they lose the game, I got to remind them, well, at least that didn't affect your value. You still have the same value as everybody else.
Now when you say that, and you use that example specifically, you're right. I mean, I agree that it does not change the esteem that would be connected to my value. But in a game of winners and losers, you know, there is a difference. We do walk away, one of us winning the game and one of us losing the game, because maybe one of us did not have a skill set that was as attuned as another. So when do we get into a place where it just seems like, and this is kind of like with sports, because a lot of people are arguing nowadays that children who are doing sports, the leagues are more concerned about participation certificates than they are about trophies of most valuable players or skilled players, where we just all on this even keel that we participated. As you would say, we all have the same value. Mm-hmm. But while we all have the same value, but don't we have different skill sets? And maybe my skill set, if we are in the... Go ahead.
Well, you want your kid to come off the court if they lost and go, okay, what do I need to do better? How can I learn from what just happened so that I can grow? And I actually do believe that only the winners should get the trophy. Mm-hmm. I want kids to be motivated, you know, to earn and grow and learn. But I kind of see life as more of a classroom than a test.
Okay.
And think about the difference. If life is a test, every mistake counts against your grade and your value. But if life's a classroom, you still your teacher gave you problems to solve. You still got them wrong, and you need to use that to learn how to do them better. But it doesn't change your grade, because this is learning time. This isn't a test.
Right.
It's a class. So
right.
I teach my clients, if you view life as a classroom, then every single experience that shows up for you is here for one purpose, and that's to grow you. And sometimes those are going to be hard experiences. Sometimes they're going to be wins and great and easy, but they're all just lessons, but they don't change your value as a human being. And I watch the news, you guys, and I look at all the problems going on this planet. Mm-hmm. All of them at their core are caused by certain groups of people thinking they have more value than other groups of people.
Right, right.
It's everything. Terrorism, racism, you name it, across the board. And I guess I'm passionate about this topic, too, because I'm a white mother, but I have a black daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I watch every day, you know, the way the world treats her different than they treat some of my other children.
Right.
And I'm pretty passionate about this idea that at our core we all have the same value. And I really, truly believe that if we all made this our policy, mm-hmm. and I know the world's not going to adopt it right away, but if I make it my rule that everybody's value is the same, that mine's the same, it's amazing what it does for my confidence. Because I go in and try things that I used to be too scared to do, because I know at the end of the day they don't change my value. Even if I follow my faith, I still have the same value as everybody else.
Exactly.
And I've watched my kids, and it gives them this security underneath all the ups and downs of life, that it's all lessons, but it doesn't change their worth ever.
And I think that's a beautiful thing, though, because at the antidote, if you would, to fear would have to be security, mm-hmm. and a higher esteem. When you understand your value, then you won't have to worry about, like you said, the two areas with the fear of loss of something, whether it's loss of your position, whether it's loss of your authority, loss of your power, mm-hmm. loss of whatever, or if it's fear that maybe I don't add up. But if I am being met with secure positions and affirmations, whether it be by words, actions, or mindsets, then we can move away from fear. I have one last question. Can I ask one last question? Mm-hmm. Do you think it's okay to have any kind of a fear, or should we dismantle fear and never have a fear?
Well, it kind of depends. On occasion, really, there's better things to be motivated by, like passion. You know, mm-hmm. passion and love to build and create something to make a difference is much more motivating than fear. I think most of the time, 99.9% of the time, it hurts us. Mm. Now, I only actually told you how to get out of fear of failure. Do you want me to tell you real quick how to get out of fear of loss, too?
Yes.
Please.
Okay, so do you know who Viktor Frankl is? Have you read his story about the concentration camps in World War II?
Yes.
Okay, so he's kind of famous for this discovery he made sitting in the concentration camp that we each have the power to choose our attitude, and it's the one thing no one can take from us. We get to choose our mindset, right?
That's right.
Well, there was another discovery that he made sitting in the concentration camp that fewer people know about. And sitting there in that place, he asked himself this question. Was it just random bad luck that I got captured when I did and that I got sent here and there? I've ended up in this place, in this barracks with these people. Is that just random that happened? Or is there meaning and purpose to it? Is there a reason that this happened and then that happened and that I've ended up right here?
Right.
And here he is. He's a psychologist before the war. You know, he studied the way human beings process things. So he's just pondering that question. And at the end of the day, what he decided is there's no way to know. There's no absolute truth for us to know if things happen random or if they happen for a reason. So he said, I guess that leaves me in a place where I get to choose which mindset I want to go with. So he tried them both on. He tried on seeing it as random, and he found that the hopelessness got worse. Mm-hmm. If it was meaningless, it made him just want to walk and get it over with because it didn't mean anything.
Right.
But if he chose to believe that things happen for a reason and that he's in this place for a purpose, it made him want to rise to the occasion and do something with it.
Right.
Right? And it also made him feel less taken from and more like the universe was at work trying to grow him, trying to serve him on some level. And he found when he chose to see meaning and purpose, those losses were less painful. He actually said suffering ceases to be suffering the moment it finds meaning.
Right.
And so we get to kind of play with the same thing in our life. So I mentioned like getting stuck in traffic. If I just want to see that as just a random bad luck in my day that I got stuck here, okay, I'll probably just be pissed about it.
Right.
But if I chose to see that everything the universe creates in my life was here for a reason, grow me, and I might sit there in the car and go, okay, apparently the universe wants me to work on patience again because I suck at patience, right? And when I come home and my kids have made a mess in the house, and I see it as today's classroom, as, okay, this is the lesson the universe brought me today. Am I going to rise and be that more mature parent? And I'm going to make them clean it, but I'm going to make them clean it in a different way than if I just feel taken from, if I just feel lost.
Right.
Okay.
And I'll give you another example. I've got a 19-year-old son, and his best friend was in a snowboarding accident and became a quadriplegic at 19 years old. And so we've had this front row seat watching this 19-year-old kid who just lost the entire life he thought he was going to have. He'll never move from the neck down again. It's horrible to watch, but I've watched him go back and forth between these same two mindsets. One option is that was a random thing, he jumped and he ruined his life. And his other option is that he didn't ruin his life. He's right exactly where he's supposed to be, having the life that God or the universe meant for him. Mm-hmm. And he didn't lose anything. This is his perfect classroom journey to be here. Now, which do you think he would suffer more with? Random or meaning?
Random.
Yeah. It's way more painful than to choose to believe that things happen for a reason. So I actually teach my clients just these 2 simple steps to practice all day, every day, that will keep you out of fear of failure and loss. Mm-hmm. So all day long, they're practicing trusting that their value can't change,
right? That
they're the same no matter what happens. And number 2, that their life is the perfect classroom for them all the time, no matter what happens. Okay. And if they're choosing that mindset all day, every day, you stay in a more secure place, like you were saying. Because really you're not that at risk.
Right.
And you get to rise and be a mature, loving, better version of yourself when you feel less at risk. See, when we're in fear, it makes us selfish. We're worried about us.
Right.
So it's all
But when you're secure, you're capable of finding your love.
True.
Make sense?
That makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense.
When you sit back and look at it, you have to make that first. You have to make that initial choice decision, and it's in your response, how you respond to that particular situation. Because, like you said, you can random or
reason.
Yeah.
Reason. But do we always go for the reason?
No.
It's always the random first.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's always the random first. Yeah. You know, we're always flying off the handle. Then afterwards, you want to go for the reasoning.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Unfortunately, neuroscientists tell us 95% of the time we react to situations without thinking.
Right.
Our subconscious reactions drive. So we just react, and it's usually immature, fear-based reactions.
Right.
So what we're working towards, all of us, including me, every day, is to try to stay out of fear so that I can choose a response that's based in love instead of letting a fear reaction drive my behavior.
Wow.
And we'll show up better.
To use a term, a psychological term, choosing to live life in that manner, would that relate at all to our flight versus fight natural response to things?
Yeah, our fight or flight response is all fear, both sides of that. We're either going to hide from it, escape it, get drunk and don't deal with it, or just avoid that person, or that's flight. And fight is confrontation,
right?
Protect ourselves, defend ourselves. Either way, it's a fear reaction. And there's a lot of times in life where we're in fight or flight because we just don't know another way.
Okay.
And so, my job as a life coach and trainer is to teach people that we do have another option
besides fight or
if
flight.
We practice just those two things in every moment. Anytime you feel yourself getting triggered, you're going to react bad. Just go back and remind yourself that your value is not at risk here, and that this is just today's classroom from the universe.
Right.
And that's all this is. You're okay, and you'll respond so much better.
I'm going to try that.
I'm
gonna make a conscious effort to try that.
Yeah, me too.
For a week. Let's see.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, Kim, thank you so much.
I want to know how it goes.
You were named one of the top advice gurus in the country. So how can people follow you? How can people possibly get more one-on-one with you?
Yeah, they can go to my website, claritypointcoaching.com. And I tell you guys, we give away more free stuff on that website. We have all kinds of tools and worksheets and stuff just to help you get out of those fears. And we know it's a huge step. It's work for all of us to be that mature, right? So we need a lot of help.
Exactly.
And there's all kinds of podcasts and articles and stuff for people to read just to help you get there.
Wow.
Amen.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing some of your insight and information. We really appreciate it. Like I said, I'm going to try that for a week. I'm gonna aim for a week first and see how that goes.
I'm gonna I'll be your buddy.
You'll be my buddy.
Yeah,
my accountability.
Yeah, your
I'll
accountability.
watch them. No,
She's got me super excited about going to my counseling section
Right.
tomorrow. Yeah, I'm excited about it.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Kim.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Okay. We have a few more minutes.
Yeah.
We never got to the situationship. Do you
talk
guys
about
know
that.
what that is? Have you heard of it?
Kind of.
Go ahead,
Do you
break
know
it
what
down. Break it down.
Okay.
Break it
So
down.
a
Break it down.
Break it
situationship
down.
is a catch-all term for those relationships sitting at the intersection of hooking up and in a relationship. It's a scary precipice teeter-tottering between more than hooking up and very much dating, where a simple "what are we" can throw the entire system out of balance.
Can you have a situation
Wow.
if you're married? No, that's cheating.
I think you could probably result back into, which wouldn't be a good thing for the marriage, but I think you could result back to that. So if friends with benefits is platonic friends with sexual benefits, then a situationship is a hookup with emotional benefits. There must be some feeling involved in the situationship, the guy says. If there weren't any feelings, it would be merely a hookup. But situationships, while often seen as inevitable stepping stones into real relationships, are problematic by nature. The hope of something more is always there, dangling like a carrot over every late night you up or
hey you
a bad word meme or just thinking about you, blah, 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 blah. The emotional aspect differentiates into a no-strings-attached hookup, while legit relationships are built on clear communication and understanding. Situationships are built on the absence of them. They're ambiguous in nature. Normalizing situationships teaches people to lower their expectations and to take whatever they can from the partner because, hey, at least they like you. But sometimes that's not enough, and that's not okay. So have you ever experienced a situationship, or do you know somebody who has experienced one?
This is one of those times where I wish I could sing because I would put on my best Erykah Badu and say, I'm in a situation right now.
Yeah,
I like you, but I'm kind of with somebody.
Yes.
Yes. So I guess I said your next lifetime. I think when I was younger, I was in situationships before we knew it that this funky little term was. I think if you're grown, if I can just be blanket, I don't have much to say. If you're grown, I think it's stupid to be in anything that's in between. You're too old for that kind of dumbness. Either you're with the person or you're not. Either y'all just screwing or y'all not. There's no such thing as limbo. Like there's no such thing as purgatory. It's stupid.
That's yeah. I mean, that's just like when we had that conversation about my term, the dog and pony show.
Right.
That's what that sounds like to me.
Like
the dog and pony show. Like, I'm just gonna show you the best of me for right now, and then once we finish, it's over. I mean, you're not really showing your true self.
You have to have emotional connection for the situationship. It's not like a hookup where it's a friend with benefits. It's just purely sexual. But
then I have another
emotions.
song. By God, you can have a piece of my love.
But what kind of emotion? Like I'm in love with you and you in love with me, but I don't want the whole.
You don't want that commitment.
Relationship.
You don't want that commitment. I found myself in that, where, to me, when I try to sit there and rationalize about what am I feeling, is you're almost what I'm really looking for, but not really. But you're better than what I don't have, if that makes sense. I mean, it doesn't necessarily make sense, but explain what I'm feeling. I mean, you're somebody, I kind of like you, but you're not necessarily everything that I want. But I'm feeling what we have going here.
Let me tell you
I don't
something.
want you to say that I'm yours, and I'm not gonna tell you that you mine.
And I know
you said you're about to tell me that I'm yours.
That's what I'm saying. That's how I'm feeling when it's a situationship. It's not. There's some emotion that I care about you. It's not all about the sex. It's not all about that. But it's not enough there where I'm gonna say, okay.
Well, wouldn't you call that like a start of a relationship?
No, because I think the start of a relationship is, okay, I want to be with you. I'm gonna see how this works out. I haven't made up my mind that you are necessarily the one, but
what if the other person made up their mind and said that you're the one?
Often the time that does happen. I don't think both people. So I guess it can be a two-way street, but usually I think one person feels that way and the other person is like, you're who I want. As in my situation, the other person has been, you're who I want, and me, it's like.
Well, then is that simply just dating when you're getting to know somebody, and sometimes, I'm getting to know you and I'm connected to you. We've shared moments. We've shared some emotional things. You've cried with me. I've told you some vulnerable moments, but I'm not really completely sure if I want to go further with you. Those are things that we kind of discover when we're dating people. We don't have to put a ship on it.
But that was just going to be my thing. Shouldn't you say that up front?
But this thing right here says, where a simple question, what are we, can throw the entire system out of balance. So when you start asking those questions, okay, what are we doing here? I mean, what are we about?
But what's so wrong about asking that? Why would that throw a
what's the
monkey
age
wrench?
Group of people going through these situationships?
I know. Well, you know how old I am. People go.
Well,
I mean,
because here's my thing.
The title of the thing was, and it was in an adult magazine, so
okay.
It was is the situationship ruining modern romance?
I think a theme that we say a lot on this show. I think lack of maturity and communication is ruining things.
Yeah.
And you don't have to. When I was a long time ago, I used to be a singles ministry leader. And one thing that we used to talk about when people were dating, we used to say this thing called tie yourself to an emotional tree. you know, if I've been dating you for 3 dates, and I don't care if 3 dates have happened over 3 months. If we've only gone out or shared time 3 times, I don't need to ask you where's this going after 3 dates. But if we have been spending time and it's been consistent over 6 to 9 months to a year, I think it's a valid question where, you know, forget, maybe not the question, where is this going? Here is my intentions and how I feel about you. How do you feel about me? And if that person says, whoa, I like what's going on here.
Yeah.
Why do we got to talk about what it is? Then that's your answer.
Yeah.
You know, I really enjoyed you, but now I got to move on.
Right, because you have to don't tie up my time.
Right.
You see, because there might be somebody else out there for me, so don't tie up my time.
That's saying that you're looking for a commitment.
But I have to verbalize whether I'm looking for one or not looking for one.
Yeah.
I think to just be in this limbo, I guess that's what situationship is saying, that we just don't discuss it. We just kind of we know we dig each other, but we don't. But we go with the flow. We too. Y'all might let me cuss.
Right. But if both of them decide that that's cool with them, then that's cool with it. But then if I just start to get so involved and I start falling in love with you, I'm gonna like, where's this going? Because you're talking about we're almost a year in and nobody said anything.
I'm gonna tell you right now that I experienced a long time ago that I was getting to know someone. For a few months, right? Getting to know, and the first few months it was so exciting. Yeah, you know, I felt like they felt me. I was feeling them. You know, there was sexual tension, but we weren't going to go there. You know,
hallelujah.
You know, because I'm so holy.
Yeah.
One day, y'all, I found my senior book. It is so embarrassing. It's too much holiness in there. But anyway,
bring it.
I'm gonna have to.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, really?
Bring it on the 26th.
I was not dancing to no hot darn Fred. Anyway, but and you know, we really and the conversations were great. The things that we talked about. Then there was quirky things I didn't really like, but I liked him so much. I thought he was so cute, and I had this crush on him forever that I looked past the quirkiness. But then as the days and the weeks turned to months, and that was all we had, there was always this attraction. But then I started to fall off because I'm like, I need more, but I don't know if I want more with him.
That's what I'm saying.
And so
that's what I mean.
And so then and so what happened was, what began to happen is that you still, it's kind of selfish in a way. You still want to stay connected to him, but then you don't want them, but then you get pissed off if they don't want you the way you want them to want you. Maybe that's just my own thing, but I don't. It wasn't me.
You own that. Yeah.
But I didn't want a commitment with this person,
yeah,
and then I get pissed off with myself, or I mean, I got pissed off with myself.
Past
tense.
Right.
I got pissed off with myself.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, why am I getting angry that this person is not doing what I want them to do? When in reality, I don't really want them like that.
Yeah. That's not even the person I want doing it.
Right. You know.
I got you. I'm there.
So there, I guess, lies the issue of being in the situationship. And I'll tell you what I just said earlier. I felt stupid feeling that way. I think stupid.
That is crazy.
Okay. What about the silent treatment? I'm the king.
That is the rudest thing in the world to me. Because it makes me so mad because I have to work at it.
Right.
I just had this conversation with my mom. I have to work at being mad at a person because I can be mad at you, but like in 20 minutes later, I'm not mad anymore, and that makes me mad. So people go around.
Bless you.
I know people going around not speaking. I think it's selfish. Just talk about what we have to talk about. Say what you got to say, and do some forward movement. Because not talking, what is that going to resolve? That's just like what the lady just said. You understand what I'm saying? You have to value what is right and handle it properly. And that's why when people talk about, I'll just say the Bible and it tells you exactly how you're supposed to act and how you're supposed to handle conflict, how you're supposed to pray first and do all of these things. And then you see these people that do the exact opposite.
And you know
that
what?
Doesn't make any sense
Paula,
to me.
What you said is so beautiful. And anyone who has listened to this show, you know that I'm a minister of the gospel.
Hallelujah.
But and y'all are the worst.
But I was about to say, but I have to admit that I'm a gutter snipe because I tell you when I get
worst.
I'm not categorizing ministers, but I'm categorizing myself to say that it's a simple concept. It's a beautiful concept. And to pray, whatever your belief system is just saying, wait before you respond, you know, think things through. But I tell you, sometimes, it has never been fruitful in the long run, but it feels so good to give a good eye roll and to get a silent treatment. And just in case you didn't know I was not talking to you, I will talk around you.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I mean, I have done it. You know what I mean? I definitely have done it.
I felt
horrible.
great when it was
It's
happening.
terrible.
But then afterwards, I
You're
feel childish.
mean, Will. I told you.
But because for me, in my last relationship, honey, we would go probably weeks, honey, and work in the same place.
And not say a word? How do you do that?
Well, let me tell you,
It's
don't
horrible.
you feel bad?
It's horrible. I would feel bad.
I
but
didn't.
I think for me, if I have because I need a cool down. If we have a conflict, I need a cool down. I can't go directly into. You can't come to me and say, "What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you?" Because we're going to argue. Let me cool down, and then we can talk. But
you're rational, though.
Whatever.
Let me tell you something. When I get angry, and my husband will probably say, "That's the most honest thing you never said," but honey, I didn't. The only reason I stopped giving the silent treatment because that was the thing that my husband liked the most, me not talking. He said I talk too much. So if I gave him the silent
you were
treatment,
helping him.
he was like, "Oh, peace." And it took me a while to realize why this silent treatment is going on too long. He just responded by now. "Oh, you like me to be quiet," so then I keep going. Then I don't give you your space, and you get pissed off. Like you need me to have a cooling off here. You ain't cooling off because I ain't cooling off. You know. But maturity says back in the day I didn't feel no ways tired. But now I'm checking myself because I'm raising an angry 14-year-old.
Oh yeah.
You know,
I got that from my mom.
You know, she pissed off at the world all the time. And she is what she sees, you know.
Yeah, I grew up and in my we don't like arguing, my brothers and I, you know what I mean? Because, you know, when you grow up in that, you just don't like it. It's fear.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because then it escalates into something else. So it's something that I really don't like, and it's due to my childhood. Even though, you know, I do argue, I can hold my own. But, you know, that fear comes in. I don't really want to do it. I think
That's
that
so sweet.
I know, and it's not. Now my husband would say that,
You're
and
so
it's not
sweet.
necessary, you know, for you to carry on like that, because you get no resolution from it. Because everybody's talking and there's no resolution. You're just more anger, and you're not. It's nothing gonna happen, and then you walk around and you're not speaking. But see, the only time it takes a whole lot to get me angry. And how you could tell I'm very angry is that I cannot catch my breath. I start literally gasping for air.
I've never seen that.
Yeah, because it takes a whole lot to get me angry.
Girl, not me. I got zero tolerance. But I'm working on that because, like I said, one of my fears is about my daughter. And I don't know if anyone is listening that hears this, so if I get approached and I have to deal with it, I'll be extremely transparent for 5 seconds. I potentially may even lose my marriage because of my quick temper and my anger. Not taking responsibility of my husband's issues, but I have a zero tolerance, and I have because of the fear when I was growing up. It came from being a child. My mother was my favorite word. She was a gutter snipe, but my mom, she was always pissed off about something, you know, and I hated it. But unfortunately, unlike Paula, who is so sweet, I didn't say I grew up with that and I didn't like it. I won't do it. I grew up saying I didn't like it but became it, you know, and
that's what happens.
And it is. And most people who don't know me intimately, like you guys know me, but you don't know me intimately.
Right.
Not yet. Most people who don't know me intimately, they don't even believe that side of me exists, that I'm this mean, zero tolerance, go for the juggler person. But that's who I am, and I don't like it. I used to get a good chuckle out of it. But I mean, when I see that my daughter is lacking self-value, self-worth, and is angry at everybody, when I see the part that I've played in what could be the loss of my marriage, I think it's time to pull back and to let things go and face my own fears, whatever those, well, they are. Face, like we were talking about that today. That's why I'm saying that. But face my fears and back off.
But you know, I'm proud of you. Because it takes a big person to admit that. You know what I mean? And that's the first sign on the road of healing, you know, because you see your reflection in your kid, what you did. And it's not fair to her because she can take that in her marriage. Right. And see, like, when my mom was just the opposite. My mom was like the sweetest thing ever. Yeah. You see what I mean? And I've never, in all the years, I've heard my mom raise her voice like maybe once or twice at us, you know what I mean? But I've seen her take so much. And then when I've seen her come into her own, it was just amazing. But I'm like my mother. You see what I'm saying? I adopted with my mother, but I never wanted to. I was told my mom I would never get married because of all the things that she went through. And she took that like a G, my mom. You know what I mean? And she's still standing. And she took care of my dad when he was really sick. I mean, that was commendable for all that she went through. But my mom always told me, don't base my marriage on what happened to me. Don't base that on what happened to me. Don't do it. Because I was like, if it's like, if it looks like that, I don't want any part of that whatsoever. Right. You know, but I understand what you're saying. You know what I mean? And if more people were like that and backed off, you know, I think marriages and families would be a lot better. Right. I love
so I'm glad y'all brought that up. That was good. I let y'all do that because I needed this to preface what I'm about to say. So I'm about to put y'all on the spot. The show is pretty much over, but I was sitting in my car today and I was thinking about both of you because I had to remember who was co-hosting. And I was like, oh my God, I like being around them because I've learned so much from you. So I'm going to ask each of you in our closing intimate moments.
Yes, sir.
What have we learned from each other? And I'm going to start it off. Rhonda, I learned from you. I learned from you because I know that you are a devout Christian, that you love the Lord with all your heart, and that you are a representative of Him officially. But what I've learned from you is all Christians and people who are like that, they're not uncool. Right. Because I know you. I've learned you to be really cool, somebody that I can talk to on a real level. But I also respect your position enough that there are certain things I'm not going to say around you and do around you. Amen. So I recognize your anointing. That's what I've learned from you. From you. And I have learned this, and you probably didn't think I listened to you, but I've listened to it. I haven't operated or done it in the setting that you want. But I learned from you that when things are going wrong, don't always run away. You know, a situation when I wanted to leave something, you were like, well, we can't always run from a situation. I've learned that, you know, I have to express my feelings and give people an opportunity to make it right. And I've done it. I did that today, even though it didn't turn out the way I wanted to. I went to the dermatology place and I voiced my opinion and gave them an opportunity to make it right, which in the end they did, but there was still some racial tension, I feel, that went on. But I learned from you that. So
I don't think I'm going to get through it because my eyes are already watering already.
And my throat just lumps up, Will.
I don't think I'm going to get through it. I will start with Rhonda first. I've learned from Rhonda that when I see you, I see nothing but she tells you to enjoy your life. To be transparent, and even though you do serve the Lord, but you keep it real. You keep it 100. And I'm not afraid to say anything from you because you like a ride or die chick. You've been there. You've done it, and you're not afraid to say what it is. And that's what I really love about you, and I learned from you the most. And that's what we have in common, and I really like that. I appreciate you, though. I really do. I really appreciate you. Well, I'm not going to get through it. I know I'm not going to get through it. I'm not. I've learned our relationship was quick, and it's been 2 years, but I've learned so much from Will. A lot of confidence by watching you and sewing into me and checking me, but most of all, you get me. You understand me, and I learned that I can do it, like what I'm doing now, you know, and keeping me on the straight and narrow and telling me what's right and telling me what's wrong. And you're a great leader. And
I'm not going to get through it.
Yeah. And you're an amazing friend and confidant. And I'm just so glad that God put you in my life because I have learned a great deal. And I do listen to what you say. And I appreciate everything that you've done for me thus far.
Wow. Oh. And you know what's so wonderful about that is because there are years ago when no one would ever say that about me. They would say that you're a selfish person. You only think about yourself. So to see what God, and he had to take me through things, life events, for him to soften my heart, to turn me into a person. So that you don't know how much that means to hear.
Yeah.
That, I mean, because it wasn't I sought to get those. It's just what the power of God can do for you.
See, when you have a relationship with somebody, and I have a lot of great relationships, and you can go to somebody and just talk to them, and they can just hear you and really hear your heart, and understand you, and the patience. Friendship is just awesome and amazing and everlasting, and that's what I feel.
Wonderful.
That's what I feel about you.
Y'all, much. I'm gonna say nothing. No. I guess I'm gonna start with Paula. Paula, the beautiful thing about you is that, the phrase that there's more to it. Don't judge a book by its cover, and that it's more is more than what you see, and it truly is. When I first met you, I didn't even know what to expect. I thought you were the restaurant owner, trying to get everybody together so we could be quiet on the set, and I mean, when people say you're a jack of all trades or a master of none, but everything that you set your foot to, your hand to, the plow, you unapologetically do it. And what I learned from you, I don't know when you started this path, but it blesses me because you do not define yourself by where you are in life as it relates to age, if I can say it. You don't define yourself by that. You define yourself by what is it that I can be doing to make not just my life better, but the life of others around me. Yeah. And you don't feel like I'm in competition. I don't care about somebody that may be younger than me or may look this way, whether it's by size, race, whatever, gender, and you're so opening. You're like so open. You can talk about anything. Remember that day we went to Starbucks, and you and I prior to that moment had never had any. We were surface, know, and I said I don't know what it was that made her feel that she could be vulnerable enough with me and tell me something so that I would be able to pour and tell you, and then always checking on me. And I know I haven't called,
good,
but to know that somebody is there for you without even knowing you, And so what I learned from you is that it's okay to reach into love and to care people, even if you don't have a history with them. And I've learned that whatever it is that you're doing, nothing should stand in the way, which is the same thing that I learned from you, Will, is all these degrees that you have. First of all, you come from good stock. I met his brother.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that you guys had to come from good stock because, when I saw him and knowing you, and it's so much power. I feel like you're like this is a bad analogy, but I feel like you are a jack in the box. Like somebody just kept turning it and turning it and turning it. But
situations too.
But they stopped whenever you were about to pop out. But soon as you popped out, you've been like gone. Yeah. You talk about like in your 40s and now you're doing all this stuff. I don't know what you were waiting on, but maybe you had to wait because there was so much power that you weren't going to be able to handle it when you were younger. But it encourages me because I don't have my college degree. I have these children, and you're always affirming me. And you affirm me two ways. One, by your own life, because, you don't you're starting, so to speak. Right. But you're competing with these kids who are coming from high school straight to college. Yeah. But you still here, you done graduated, you still got your show going on. You do it. So that affirms me because if you can do it, I can do it. But you affirm me because you always tell me how great you think that I am, even if I don't think that I am. And so I've learned from you that that God has definitely blessed you to be in a place of influence. And I really echo what Paula said. You are an encourager. You are a major encourager, and you are selfless. I mean, I'm glad we didn't know you when people would have said otherwise. Yeah. But if I'm empty, which I was before I came here tonight, I was a little empty. My cup is overflowing being with both of you.
Oh,
You know, Paula, it's not many women that you don't always, especially black women. Like when we agree. But a lot of black women, when you disagree, you pissed off. Now we got a personal issue. You ain't have to agree with what I said, but that don't mean you got to stop liking me.
No.
You know, and you don't ever do that. And I love that we can have. You might be the only person I can ever have passionate conversations and be on two different spectrums, and we're okay.
We're okay.
No attitude.
No attitude.
No, I'm not like that.
Yes.
No hidden agenda.
No.
You know.
I'm really transparent. I'm very transparent, and what you see is what you get.
It is wonderful.
And that's just me. I love you, Will.
This is good. Love y'all.
I love you,
y'all.
Rhonda.
But you know what? The key to that is I know that I'm working on my personality, but I know smart business people, if they don't have it, they'll surround themselves with people. So if you'll realize it, you and Paula are my number two people, two number one people that I have on the show.
Right.
Because you guys are amazing in my eyes. So whenever I know that I need that strength, I'm going to call Rhonda and I'm going to call Paula. And now Caprice, she's good. I mean, I've always had good. I select people based on what they can bring to the show.
Right.
But you guys are amazing, and I'm so grateful. Like I said, we won Show of the Year. I didn't win Host of the Year, but we won Show of the Year.
Right,
you guys
right.
are an intricate part. So I thank y'all.
You welcome.
See you on the 26th. That's the last show. We're gonna have fun.
We're gonna have a party.
We're gonna
We're
have
bringing
some food.
cupcakes.
Well, I'm gonna
Yes.
crash it if y'all having food.
Yeah, come crash it.
Yeah,
Maybe
but
Mr. B will come.
okay, that's right. Yes. So until next week, everybody be blessed.
Be blessed.
Be blessed. Great
Thank you
show.
for listening
That's a
to
great
Let's
show.
Face It with Will Strayhorn and Friends. Please be sure to visit us on the web at letsfaceitradio.com.